You're looking for two books, the book of Esther and the book of Ruth. For those of you that are just joining us, we are in the midst of a series that I began on last Sunday entitled, The Call, the Same, but Different. Last week we looked at the Messiah and Moses, and we saw how they both came to birth with the enemy, the devil, trying to snuff them out before they got started. We looked at both to see that both by the age of 2 years of age were on the devil's hit list as he was trying to stamp out the leadership of Moses and the messiahship of Christ. He killed innocent babies in both accounts with Moses and the Messiah. Any Bible students recognize? And knowing that if he could have, he would have. What I want you to see that in this series, The Call, the Same but Different, that because you are not your own, those of you that are children of God, those that have received Christ into their heart, you are not your own. You were bought with a price on them. And the one who paid the price is the one who holds the deeds. And as he has given promises unto us that he will never leave or forsake, to know that he says, cast all your cares upon me, for I care it for you. For him who said that you are more than conquerors, he's the one that hath been defeating our adversary all this time. And it's going to go on into eternity because Satan has already been judged. He's actually a fugitive on the lam. He is a fugitive on the run. And so every now and then he pops into little townships called KENNITH or townships called you. And he raises havoc to make you doubt what God has said. But when we begin our reading, I want you to see first and foremost, just remember who we're talking about, that if he could have taken you out, you know those skirmishes you've had in life, those incidents and accidents and situations that you know it could have been Katie barred the door, done and over, pushing up daisies, whatever your recognition of the terminology is. If he could have, he would have. If he could have discouraged you this morning from coming to church, believe me, I know for some of you he tried. But because you came on anyway, I want you to see it's because God has a message for you in this series. And what I want you to get out of this second installment is to know that truly we are more than conquerors. God's plan, God's purposes is going to happen. Because in case you don't recognize, we serve a God who's perfect. And because he's perfect, his will is perfect. Amen. For you and for I. But when we don't see the other side of the equation, we often question what he's doing during the situation. But at the end of the reading and this message, as we continue to gain momentum through this series, the call, the same but different, I need you to find the book of Esther, chapter 2. When you're there, because it is a good reading, I'm going to allow you to stay to your seats. Normally we stand to honor the reading of God's word, but as the under shepherd of the Lord here, because I want you to go two different places, I need your attention not to be on your legs getting tired, but upon following the reading, because it's important, because when I share with you the message, I want you to have this already digested in your system. The same, but different. The call, the same, but different. Have you found Esther chapter 2? Amen. Esther chapter 2. Locate verse 5. When you're there, please say amen. Amen. And it reads, Now in Shushan, the palace, there was a certain Jew whose name was Mordecai, the son of Jair, the son of Shemaiah, the son of Kish. He was a Benjamite. And Bible students Wednesday night, we're familiar with Benjamites. It goes on to say, who had been carried away from Jerusalem with the captivity which had been carried away with Jeconiah, king of Judah, whom Nebuchadnezzar, the king of Babylon, had carried away. Sunday school students, this is a continuation from this morning. The captivity has begun. What Habakkuk had warned would be. Back to 7 says this, verse 7, and he brought up Hadassah, that is Esther, his uncle's daughter, for she had neither father nor mother, and the maid was fair and beautiful, whom Mordecai, when her father and mother were dead, took for his own daughter. Stay with me. Go to chapter 4, same book. Locate verse 10. When you're there, please say amen. Amen. Esther chapter 4, verse 10 reads, again Esther spake unto Hathach, and gave him commandments unto Mordecai. All the king's servants and the people of the king of the province do know that whosoever, whether man or woman, shall come unto the king into the inner court, who is not called, there is one law of his to put them to death, except such to whom the king shall hold out his golden scepter, and that he may live, scepter, and that he may live. But I have not been called to come in unto the king these 30 days. And they told to Mordecai Esther's words. Then Mordecai commanded to answer Esther, think not with thyself that thou shalt escape the king's house more than all the Jews. For if thou altogether holdest thy peace at this time, then there enlargement and deliverance arise to the Jews from another place. But thou and thy father's house shall be destroyed. And then he says, and who knows whether thou art come to the kingdom for such a time as this. Then Esther bade him return to Mordecai this answer. Go gather together all the Jews that are present in Shushan, and fast ye for me, and neither eat nor drink 3 days or nights. I also and my maidens will fast likewise, and so will I go in unto the king. Last part of the verse 16, hang on to this. Which is I also and my maiden will fast likewise, and so will I go unto the king, which is not, there we are, not according to the law. And if I perish, I perish. The book of Ruth, go back to your right. Right after the book of Judges, you have the book of Ruth, for those of you that are not familiar. Ruth chapter 1, are you there? Amen. Ruth chapter 1, locate verse 11. Ruth chapter 1, verse 11 reads these words. And Naomi said, turn again, my daughters. Why will you go with me? Are there yet any more sons in my womb, and that they may be your husbands? Turn again, my daughters, go your way, for I am too old to have a husband. But if I should say I have hope, if I should have a husband also tonight, and should also bear sons, would you tarry then with me as they grow up? Would you stay for them to become your husbands? Nay, my daughters, for it grieves me much for your sake that the hand of the Lord is gone out against me. And they lifted up their voices and wept again. And Oprah, which by the way, where Oprah gets her name, kissed her mother-in-law, but Ruth clave unto her. And she said, Behold, my sister-in-law is gone back unto her people and unto her gods. Return thou after thy sister-in-law, Naomi tells Ruth. But Ruth says this, and we're done. Ruth says, and Ruth said, Entreat me not, verse 16, to leave thee, or to return from after thee, for whether thou goest, marriage vows, often used as marriage vows, for whether thou goest, I will go, and where thou lodgest, I will lodge. Thy people shall be my people, and thy God my God. Where thou diest, I will die, and there will be buried. And the Lord do to me, and more also, if aught but death part thee and me. Last, when Naomi saw Ruth, that she was steadfast minded to go with her, she left speaking unto her. These two readings this afternoon is to give you my argument for today is the E-R. The E-R. Pulled from the initial of Esther, the initial of Ruth. But for this conversation, the E-R. What you may not know is that in the first storyline, Esther has been brought into the palace. She is there under the king rule there in Persia, and he has summoned for a beauty pageant because his first queen, his first wife, named Vashti, refused to come in to show her beauty. And so what he saw and what the men told him is that she has disrespected you, send her away, we'll get you another. Long story short, Mordecai is raising a beautiful young niece named Esther. Esther means star. And so Esther is some kind of pretty. So a beauty pageant takes place, and long story short, Esther wins the beauty pageant and is brought into the palace. And while she is there, she learns of a plot to remove all of the Jewish people. There's a person by the name of Haman that have decided the Jews are no good, they are not worth living. And he has gotten into the ear of King Ahasuerus, the Persian king. You know what? Let's annihilate all the Jews. And the king of Ahasuerus had no tie to the Jews, so he said, yeah, okay, do it. Pick a day and kill them all. What happens is that Mordecai, who is the uncle of Esther, knows about the plot. He tells Esther. Esther knows how the rule of Persia works. It is that once you are in the palace, you don't enter into the king without permission. You don't just decide you want to show up and come into the king's presence, because if you show up and he doesn't point his golden scepter toward you, you are immediately put to death. The situation is, Mordecai said, listen, I need you to go in to the king anyway and let him know what is happening, because if you don't, the day will come and all Jews will be eliminated from this earth. She hears it and decides, you know what? I know the rules. But I tell you what, let's put God in the midst. And to know, for some of you that might not know, Esther and the book of Song of Solomon are two books among the Bible, 66 books altogether. There are two books where you will not find in the Bible the name God. In the book of Esther and in the book of Song of Solomon, you will not find in print in the Bible the name, the word God. Back to the story. Esther said, you know what, let's do this. You fast, I'll fast. They fast, and once she realizes that it is time for her to do what she needs to do, she realizes that it is time I go to the ER. The ER is a place of emergency. Back to what it is a symbolic of as a metaphor for this message, just know I chose ER because of Esther and Ruth. But in common vernacular, ER is a place of emergency. If you ever have to go to the ER, you will go in there not because you're getting a checkup, but because you're in dire straits of health. Amen? If you go to the ER, it is because they're there to make sure they can do for you what they could not do in a normal setting, because all of the doctors, their attention is to bring you into a normal state of conditioning. Is that right? ER is exactly what is happening for Esther in this regard, because she realizes if I don't go in, then my people and I will perish. And what she says, and what I want you to hang your hat on, your good hat, Sister Connie, is the fact that she says that I go in, if I perish, I perish. Well, I want you to know that Esther and Ruth are great subject matters for this series for today, the ER, because back to Esther later, Ruth. Ruth is a young woman, beautiful as well. She and a person by the name of Oprah, again, where Oprah Winfrey got her name from, she said this. If it's a lie, she told me. And they have married two men, and Naomi, her husband, and her two sons, and their wives, they moved to Moab because there was a famine in Jerusalem. And when they get there, as fate would have it, when you think you're moving from a location, you don't know when you're going from bad to worse. The worst was waiting on them, and they realized that they had been summoned to the ER for the emergency of both the sons they were not able to revitalize neither one of them. And the two sons, the husband of Oprah and the husband of Ruth, died. Naomi's husband is dead. So it's time for her to go back home. Sometimes we think going back home is the answer. Therefore, we have to know that sometimes going back home is the answer. And for Naomi, she said, I left my people because of a famine. I went to Moab believing that there would be prosperity there. But now I go back worse than I left. I go back without a husband, and I go back without my two sons. It's the ER. It's an emergency for Naomi. And she realizes that, you know what? I'm not going to drag these ladies with me. Let me give them a chance to at least speak their own mind and do what's right for them, to them. She says to Oprah and to Ruth, listen, my sons are gone, my husband's gone. I'm going back to my people. You all go back to your people, which happen to be the Moabites. And Oprah took her up on it. Oprah took up on it and said, you know what? Yeah, you're right. I'm going to go ahead and go back and stay with my people. Y'all have a good trip. She turns to Ruth to give her an opportunity as well. And said, Ruth, I'm headed to the ER. It's an emergency for me. I don't have a male to watch over me. I don't have a male to protect me. I don't have this person to provide for me as a senior woman, a widow, if you will. Not saying this is all about a man, just telling you that the format for this day and age, that day and age, was that a male figure meant security for the female. But Ruth says to her, I don't know what you're thinking, but I want you to know, as we read, that where you go, I'll go. Your God will be my God. Your people will be my people. You can go to the ER if you want to, but you will not be going there by yourself. How all of this ties into the message, the ER, in your own life. You have been put into circumstances and situations. You've received information. You've received notification. And right now, it depends on your faith, whether you can get it to the ER in time to get it mouth-to-mouth resuscitation, to where instead of you governing it, the outcome on what you think, you turn to who you know. And who you know is God. Amen. And in this case, with both Esther and Ruth, they were victorious because they didn't turn around. They were victorious because they took their courage. They took the discipline, and they took commitment into the ER. And they were revitalized to whereby they stuck the course, stayed to the course. And what this says is that when God has a plan for our lives, come hell, high water, come whatever the intention of the enemy, he is supposed to rock the boat. He is supposed to try to discourage us from continuing on. But God and the cloud of witnesses spoken of in the book of Hebrews that surround us, They're cheering us on. Don't stop. Don't turn around. Don't look at the circumstance. Look to God. God says that you are his. You are a part of his kingdom. Kingdom means king domain, which says that in the king's domain, he is responsible for us. He's to take care of us. He's to provide for us. He's to comfort us, because the king's domain means that you're in the king's domain, the kingdom. So just know the message about the ER is that if you are in an emergency, and you know, to everybody, there are different emergencies. Yeah. You know, it is said that the difference between a major operation and a minor operation, see, a minor operation is you. A major operation is when it's me. And that brings us to the point. And that's to bring us to the point that God says that the same but different, I have a plan for every one of you. That's my child. And you're in the palace, and things are shaky. You're in the palace, and you don't know whether you should continue or turn around. You're in the palace, and notifications are coming to you, and there are people who need your help. And you say, but help you, I'm trying to help myself. The reality of it is God says, I need you to know that you're my child, and I have a perfect plan for your life. But see, you need to know God chooses who he wants to use. And if he has picked you out, it's already a complete deal. It has already been decided, the outcome. But what he needs is somebody that has some stick-to-itiveness. Somebody that knows how to hang on when God said, now, it's going to be night soon. And I need you to hang on through the night. Now, you go ahead and cry if you want to, because weeping may endure for a night. But if I see you in the morning, you're going to find the joy of why you stayed to the place. See, when you go into the ER of God, he wants you to bring your faith that's wavering, your trust that's wavering. He wants you to bring your doubt that's trying to grow harder or stronger than you. He needs for you to bring all of that into the ER of his hand, and he will show you how he can revive the situation. Because what you don't know is what you're all familiar with the story of Joseph. Yes, Joseph, one of the boys of Jacob, his brothers threw him into a pit because he told them about a dream. You see, you got to be careful who you tell your dreams to. Because everybody that hears your dreams ain't always for you. And his brothers decided that, you know what, this dreamer deserves to die. And long story short, they threw him in a pit. And while he was there, they said, we just might as well kill him. And you would know, you should know, that it was Judah, the tribe of our Lord and Savior, Judah, that came up with an idea. They said, no, let's not kill him. Judah. And when I'm reading the story, preparing for the series, I'm saying, God, you are amazing. If we just learn to let God be God, if you just let God's plan unfold, you will find out, although you don't know about the next step, God said, I need you to take it. Amen. Although you don't know about tomorrow, I need for you to know who holds it. I need for you to understand, I have told you all from the beginning that it's me, it's me, it's me. I am the one that controls your very being. And every time y'all look to the left or to the right, y'all get off center. And all of a sudden now you can't figure it out, so you think it's lights out. God said it's never lights out until I turn them out, friend. The reality of it is, Judah says, let's sell him. They take Joseph and sell him to travelers, the Ishmaelites, going into the city, Jerusalem. And he gets there, Egypt. And he gets there, and Joseph says, and the Bible says this, at 17, he was 17 years old. I get back to Esther now. I want you to see how all this ties. At 17, thrown into the pit, taken into the city, and to Potiphar sold. Potiphar was an owner. Potiphar's wife get hot for him, wants to have him. He said, we ain't doing that. He gets thrown into prison at 17. And we don't pick up the fact that at 17, he went from dreaming and seeing what was going to be to a to God's unchanging hand.
Amen.
And he said, you don't know about this, but I'm taking you to the pit. I'm with you in the pit. My providence is in the pit. I don't care what the doctor said. I don't care what the job said. I don't care what the lawyer said. If you just listen to what I say, I will show you how the pit to prison to the palace. 13 years later, the Bible even gives the age. At 17, he's in the pit and the prison. And at 30, he becomes the second in charge of the nation that was running the world. The number one shot caller. You know him as Egypt. They were the number one shot caller on the world at that time. So, long story short, when it's over, and you look back, and you begin to see how God was with you through it all. See, when you look back, you see that God, I had to go through what I went through. Yeah, because when you get to where I'm taking you, then I know I can trust you. Because you stayed with me through it all. The ER, Esther, wind up saving the nation. And this person, Mordecai, her uncle, was able to get his vengeance through the Lord on a person named Haman.
Amen.
Long story short, there was a man named Haman who started this whole thought about killing all the Jews. And he thought it nice, you know what? I just go ahead and build a gallows. Well, because we wait for Monday. When Monday comes, we hang everybody. So I need this one special one, Earl, to be built 75 feet tall. That's what I need. Because the one I'm going to hang Mordecai on, I want everybody to see that their God is nothing to me, and that they are nothing to me. So I got one particular gallows, 75 feet tall, and I'm hanging this boy on come Monday. Only to find out the gallows that he built for Mordecai, Sister Honey, guess who hung on? He did. So when you have an adversary that's at your heels, when you can't seem to get it done, when you are hearing all of this, just know God will take that very mouthpiece and show you, I'll break that mouthpiece right before you. Haman, he hangs on the gallows he built for Mordecai. Esther becomes the queen for as long as she lived, and to whereby, because she stayed the course. And when it looked bad, she didn't run. See, the problem with us is that when it looks bad, sometimes we don't run. See, when it looks bad, sometimes we give in to the look bad. Because the doctor said it, we think it's law. Because the lawyer presented it, we think it's over. Because the boss man said it, we think he's the shot caller. But you got to know there's one that sits high and looks low. And when he says that you are my child, I want you to know that I'm taking you through this so that you will one day be a witness of what I did back to somebody else. You're not going through what you're going through for you. You're going through so you can help somebody else. Hey, I remember one day when it was me, but I took it to the ER. I took my faith in, and they put those paddles on my face because that was beating slow. And when they hit me with those paddles, I realized that there is a God in heaven who created all that I am. And when they gave me an intravenous drug, intravenous plug, they hit me in my vein, and they gave me some courage. And it wasn't that liquid courage that you get out of a bottle. It was that kind of courage that comes from on high when you're being fed the word of God, and you're in the ER, and all he wants you to do, because when you get to the ER, we just need you to lay there, friend. We don't need you to do nothing else, but let yourself be brought back to form. The ER for both, and Ruth. Ruth the Moabite. Because she stayed to the course. She goes into Jerusalem. She meets this gentleman called Boaz. She and Boaz like each other. And they got together, married through certain other incidences, but the long and short, this Moabite Ruth became a person in the bloodline of Jesus Christ. Because of Moab, because of Ruth and Boaz, they have a child by the name of Obed. Obed follows a child named Jesse. Jesse fathers a child named David. You already know the rest of the story of David. See, it's when you go to the ER under God's watch that he can allow his perfect plan, because he has a purpose and plan for you. Every situation you have, all you need to know is this: God will do for me what I cannot do for myself. And all you have to do is know, he just wants you to be the best you. The same, but different. No, the same is who sent you. What's different is your purpose. But all you have to do is be the best you. For what God has planned for you, it's going to happen, baby. What God has a blessing for you, and your name is on it, oh, that's more than a song. I don't care who you are. If the blessing say lovely, you can walk up there Monday. You can walk up there Thursday. But if the blessing say stop it, that's exactly where it's going to be. And just know that everyone that's a child, he has a plan and purpose. And sometimes you just got to get back to the ER of when your faith began. And know that, when you first came into this thing, you believed God and took him at his word. And then what happens is that the enemy starts to mess with you because you're no longer his. And what he needs you to do is begin to doubt the word that God has given you. And what you have to remember as I close, the very first conversation that thing had with us, very first. You got to be careful about a person that lied to you first. I mean, I didn't know you. And the first thing out your mouth is a lie. Are you telling me that the first thing out your mouth is a lie? Amen. But look at the history. When the serpent walked into the garden, he walked up to Eve. First thing out of his mouth was a lie. Surely God didn't say, if you ate of the fruit, you're going to die. Did he tell her a lie? Anybody know anybody that died? Of course, yes. So the reality of it is that when we see these subject matters, whether it's the ER of Esther and Ruth, I threw Joseph in for conclusion, but to know that you have to know that what God wants you to do is to trust him above all. You have to know, because why? You are his child. He needs you to be childlike, not childish. See, there's a difference between childlike and childish. See, childlike, you're transparent. See, those of you that have children, when your child is sick, you already know how they look. You already know when they sick. Baby Ruth, my mama, God rest her soul, she knew when Charlotte was sick because Charlotte wasn't hungry. When I throw you out there like that. And so when she knew I was sick is when I wasn't hungry. You who have children, when your boys were, everybody here, and God knows it too. He knows when you need to go to the ER. And guess what? Nobody wakes up and thinks, you know what, this is a good thing to go to the ER. And you might go to the doctor. You might go to the doctor. So the ER is for emergency. That's why it's called the emergency room. Which says what? You've been tripping on your faith lately. You've been tripping not knowing that although you can't see it, you don't have to see it. I ain't asked you to see nothing. God almost would have me tell you, you really need to be Stevie Wonder around here. Because you got to know that I just need you to trust. See, Stevie Wonder got to trust. Isn't that something, a millionaire? But all he can do, all he got to do first is trust. Is that right? You got to trust what you ride in. You got millions of dollars. It's not a Toyota. Nothing against Toyota. But if you got millions of dollars, they told you this is a Lamborghini or Rolls Royce, you got to trust it's that. God said, I need you all to take yourselves to the fact that the ER is meant for you. Yeah. Why? Because I need you to trust me. I called you my child. I made you my servant. Yeah. I called you my friend. I have said I'm your provider. I said I will comfort you. I said I would make a way. I told you all things work together for the good. I have told you, I have told you, I have told you. So please, don't be like this. There's an army general by the name of Alexander the Great. You heard of him? Yeah. It is said one day a soldier was brought into his court. tree. And they brought him to Alexander the Great. Alexander said, next! They bring him up. And what is the charge? We find this man to be a coward, sir. Coward? Yeah. Boy, love this translation. Boy, what's your name? Alexander. Son, what is your name? Alexander. Alexander? Your name is Alexander? Well, listen, son, you're going to have to do one or two things. Change your name or change your character. And that's what the child of God's got to know. You can't doubt because everybody else doubts. You can't fear because everybody's fearing. Because fear, as an acronym, is false expectations appearing real. See, you have made this thing bigger than it is. You looked at the shadow and thought it was a monster until the butterfly walked out. And you have to know that the ER that you're going through, as I close, is very important, whereby you just continue to keep your eyes on him and your eyes on the prize. It's not some kind of slogan here. It's just that the ER has been waiting for you. You got to revive your trust. See, you've been hurt so much by people that you just don't forgot how to trust. Well, I'm telling you, you might have a reason not to trust everybody, but you don't have one reason not to trust God. God has showed you that he will stand with you. You don't have one reason to doubt God. God has showed you that he will hold your hand through it all. And what the reality of it is that, and I read this in the paper this weekend, it's not mine, I like it though. Theodore Roosevelt. If you could kick everybody in the butt who caused your problem, you couldn't sit down 2 weeks. I said, First Lady, I like this. He said, if you could kick the person in the butt who's caused you your problem, you couldn't sit down for 2 weeks. You know what they're saying? We be kicking our own. We be walking around doing this. Hey, y'all laughing. I almost made contact. Let me quit clowning, man. I almost made contact. Yes. But the sense of the story, I'm done, is that the ER, please know, is for emergency room. Yes? Yes. Your faith, your trust, your commitment, your discipline might need to be taken to the ER if you are a child of God. Because you've let you've let a human tell you more than you believe about God. And that's not how it goes. Because if he wakes you up, you should be able to get up, realizing that, you know what, my faith has been to the ER. I am revived. My hope has been to the ER. I am hopeful again. My trust has been to the ER. I am revitalized again. And just know, once you get there, the ER, when you come out of it,